Wasn't this weird? Wasn't this weird? Watching an early one of... I'm doing it like... You've seen what the title is. This is Louis Theroux's Weird Weekend, where he goes to the WCW power plant and a much more charming independent promotion to do one of his shows. You forget, don't you? Now you're used to seeing him, and he's sort of lived in... And he's been in the media for 30 years. And he knows how to present, and he plays up to his sort of, thing. You forget that when he started, it's basically Jacob Rees-Mogg meeting the poor.
Honestly, the older I get, the less I care for his shtick. I do find his aristocratic show. Well, he's public school at best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's nothing against, I'm not getting nothing against public school lads, but very well off, son of a writer, quite famous
Paul
travel
Theroux,
writer. Yeah, just, there's enough breaks in there. You sort of, oh, come on, mate.
But I remember being on the Cape Cod, when you'd come and visit. And so our dad had... This is one example.
Yeah.
And now he's in my territory because I like wrestling now.
And this was one of those things, along with SmackDown 2 Know Your Role, that got me back into watching wrestling after years away.
Yeah.
And I loved it because it was the first time things had been taken seriously. And this looked like a fascinating world. It comes out about a year before Beyond the Mat.
Right.
So
you didn't see that many things like this. You didn't see the behind the...
You didn't. And it was also that thing of going, this world looks fascinating. Yeah. And that was what was really good. It's the end of Series 2 of Weird Weekends. He had done, by this point, Nazis, religious fundamentalists, swingers, survivalists, and black nationalists and porn stars. And at the start of this, he says, so now we're doing the most popular sport in America.
I was travelling through the American South on a mission to find out about the most popular sport in America.
I'm going to kick the crap out of Scott Steiner.
Professional wrestling.
And it doesn't sound like a weird weekend, does it? When you're sort of going, I'm going to take you by the hand through the most popular sport in America.
Yeah, and you're probably going, oh, NFL. I mean, obviously it isn't, but I'm just saying that, like, you'd sort of go, yeah, but they wouldn't let you in though, would they, Louis?
No.
Only wrestling would let you in.
No, but what they did is they had that sort of thing of, it's only weird to Louis Theroux.
Yeah.
Because he has refused to do any research into it. And even as it progresses, he's not remotely interested in doing so.
No.
And there's a part of me that goes, you go to WCW, and what did you think? How weird did you think these millionaire performers who are on television every week in numbers that BBC Two has never seen, how genuinely weird did you think they were? they're just sportsmen.
Yeah.
The problem with it as well is, if you have seen wrestling before, even the bits that he finds weird are not weird.
No.
Because that's just what wrestlers are like,
If this is a bad time, I can come back later.
It's okay.
Are you alright?
Yeah.
What are you doing exactly?
I'm getting ready for my match.
Really?
Yeah, getting psyched up for it.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah, and it was quite interesting to see how disarmed Macho Man Randy Savage was at one point. Because he just balls up to him and starts talking to him.
Yeah.
And he's, I guess, sort of has the air of, being one of the main players of the whole thing.
Yeah,
and he doesn't know.
No, and a huge main eventer who's been doing this for years.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can sort of compare it to would be is if the BBC said to me, you're going to be doing a documentary on Man City.
Yeah.
And I went, okay. And I turn up in the dressing room and I go, who are you? Can I speak to you? Like that. And you just go, I'm literally walking in with my bag, mate.
Do you have a plug socket behind you on the where you sit when in the dressing room?
Hey, this one, don't know what your name is. What's your name? Den Haag. Right. How do I become a footballer for Manchester City?
I don't
know. I mean,
you're 42.
It starts off really well, I thought, with Louis approaching Raven in an airport. Yeah. And Raven doesn't have any other role in this documentary.
It's a real bitty.
They have nothing.
They've got nothing.
Honestly, Pete, I looked at it and I was like, by the time he finishes doing the independent show, it's 2/3 of the way through.
Yeah.
You go, the wrestlers in this are the people who go, we will not let this show fail.
Yeah.
We will give some drama that isn't there. Because without the wrestlers generating stuff for the show, which is what they're good at when the cameras are on, Louis Theroux would literally have just gone to see a wrestling show and gone, that's it. It's astonishing. Raven in the airport. So Louis Theroux just goes over and goes, can I chat to you? And Raven just says, do you know who I am?
How you doing? BBC Two, how's it going, Louis?
BBC Two for what?
BBC Two for...
I know what BBC Two is, for what?
Yeah, for a documentary series on American subcultures. Good to see you again.
What subculture we're filming?
Wrestling.
Are you filming wrestling subculture movies?
Hey?
So you are?
Yeah, we are, yeah.
Do you know who I am?
I mean, the fucking arrogance of that. That would be a nightmare for me. And for you, imagine that you had someone in and you were like, I haven't had a chance to do this. And they were a band and they said, you don't know the first thing about us. You would go, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I mean...
He's like, no, don't really know.
No.
And
I just,
Raven says, look, you're filming a documentary on wrestling and you have no idea who I am. Like that. And it sort of just goes, bring, Brendan.
Yeah, it's like going, he just goes, no, not really. And it's like, he's not the weird one, Louis.
No, that's it.
You're the...
What must they have made of it? When you've got Raven sitting there, he's about to fly to another country with the company that he signed $1 million contract for, and he's going to perform tonight in front of 65,000 people or whatever it is. That's a bit high, but he is a professional.
Yeah.
And this guy comes over looking like a stick insect, just going, "May I have a chat with you?" And you're just like, "What the fuck is this? What is it? I'm from BBC Two. Good for you."
Yeah.
You know, Raven later explained that a lot of people come up to him and say, I love that bit you did in Louis Theroux's Weird Weekends. And Raven later said he had no idea who I was. Like, why would you interview me if you have no idea who I am? He then called him an idiot, which I like the fact he's still going on that.
You're filming a documentary on wrestling, you have no idea who I am.
We've only just started, to be honest.
But, I mean, didn't you do a little research before you started this endeavor?
No.
What's really mad is, like, he goes to see WCW for the first time. It's an episode of Nitro. And he presents going to see a wrestling show in a corporate arena as being something totally alien and strange.
Yeah. Even though, look how many people are there.
Look how many. But you remember your first wrestling show?
Yeah.
You didn't walk in and go, I don't know where I am.
What is this for?
What am I supposed to do now? You sit in your seat, you watch the show, you drink your drink, and then you go home. It's really easy. It's really fun. I mean, actually, accidentally, what they capture. So you've got Fit Finlay leaning on a sort of bin, and Bam Bam Bigelow just in his top, sort of going, hello. You know,
it's just very like he does doorstep Roddy Piper, and demands to look in his bag. Risky,
absolutely
risky with him.
And Piper is excellent.
Yeah,
and
he's got his lines. He's got his fucking lines.
He does.
And you almost want to go, you know what, Louis? Ask that guy's money.
Yeah.
That guy's fucking money. You were there because Daddy was Daddy.
Yeah.
And the BBC was the BBC, and well done, yeah, you've got this far and stuff. But he's there. He's got more money than you.
He is. He also had such a terrible upbringing. Boys' homes, reform school, you know, no one there for him. And look at him now, the millionaire. And instead, Louis Theroux is coming up and saying, say something fun. And Piper is so good here. Everything he says, unusually for Piper, really makes sense. He's antsy and he's nervous. But what he hits on there, it comes just after that Randy Savage thing. And Louis Theroux sort of just turns to someone and goes, he didn't want to talk. and the person says, well, you know, he's just going to work, and you grabbed him, and he's just not ready for it. He's just like...
We're making a documentary for BBC Two in Britain about wrestling.
Louis.
Yeah, bad time.
The man Macho is busy. Man.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, he didn't want to talk.
No, he didn't want to talk.
Apart from anything else, when you work for a company like that, you do spend a lot of time just going, sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to, you know. What level is this? Tell me. Wrestling as well is complex because, you know, at that time, you were coming in on certain angles and you were like, okay, so what am I doing here? Do I have to be in character? I don't know what any of this is.
Yeah.
I mean, the PR guy from WCW taking him round again, I mean, that is badly handled because no one knows what they're doing. That's why everyone looks anxious, I think, when he talks to them as well. They look very jittery. But Piper is so good on here, and you know, Piper mentions right at the start, and what you see there is you see Piper just getting his little needle in, where Louis Theroux is like, oh, we wanted to talk to Randy Savage, and he didn't want to talk to us, and you know, and Piper's just like, well, I just walked into the building, he shot a camera in my face, and there is something about that I sort of go, oh my god, this is supposed to be about this wild outlawish world, and actually what the wild outlaws are being able to flash your BBC credentials and just say, we're the BBC, we go where we want. We'll handle this our way. And I thought it was a really sort of unusual bit where I'm going, I am so on whatever Louis Theroux's side is not in this. Alex Wright comes out, the German wrestler as well.
Like straight after a rebrand, and he's trying to explain and he's just I know his thing is disinterest. I know it's not being interested, but He's just so fucking rude.
They stitch up Alex Wright as well. They find the closest they can get to going, haha, look at these guys, they're stupid. So Alex Wright comes out and he says, I used to be Alex Wright and dance techno, but the American people are not familiar with techno. And fine, fair enough. So he's been rebooted in sort of, he's wearing a dark Matrix-esque sort of outfit. I used to be Alex Wright, he says. I'm now Alexander Wright. And that is presented like, look at this guy. He thinks he's got a character change. And he's gone from Alex Wright to Alexander Wright. And you're like, oh, goodness me. Does he not know?
Right, okay.
Know?
So, was that the attempt? Is that why they left that in?
And I thought, the thing is, you see, is if I say Alex Wright and Alexander Wright, if you follow wrestling, you go, two distinct characters. Right? That's all it takes sometimes. That's all it needs. He was sort of taken out of context to make him look like he was an absolute dildo. And I look at that and I sort of go, dishonest.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, das ist gut, ja?
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, sir. Okay, come on, guys, y'all follow me, please.
Theroux is just picking his battles, isn't he? It's just, I don't know.
It's very easy when you have the edit room. That's the thing, isn't it? Goldberg, he bumps into as well. Yes. And Louis sort of whimpering.
Men are getting bigger.
And Goldberg just goes, yep, sure, I'll give you a talk. And he does this big spit on the floor. And I was like, Goldberg's really sort of like, I think he just foams up because he's like, am I going to have to choke this man? And Louis says, so you are the top wrestler in the company. And Goldberg immediately sort of goes, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
He's sort of like flattery. And Louis says to him, I want to be a wrestler. And again, imagine me saying that to a fucking, I don't know, NBA player. Look at, like the best one. And I'm like, someone says you're the best one. I want to be a NBA basketball Hall of Famer, And Goldberg very gently sort of just goes, you've got to work out and be big and stuff. But I started off at the power plant. And it's like, Goldberg's so nice to give him an honest and friendly answer. He just hasn't done anything to deserve it, really.
Yeah. But I just thought that when these kind of interviews happen, I always, in the back of my head, I almost think that a character like Louis Theroux would probably go, what if I get out there and he imagines maybe I'll go and wrestle in front of 60,000 people.
That's exactly what I used to imagine when I go to the wrestling feet, yeah.
That's right, maybe going, they might really like me. And
I think
I imagine, because I am from the BBC, I'm the king now. And I
think there is a thing where clever people think that they'd be good at, if I was in charge of it, if I lowered myself to be involved with this, imagine how much better I could make it. You would not. You'd ruin it. No. You would ruin it.
You must have seen a lot of people come and go. Can you look at me and tell me, do I have what it takes?
I mean, you could be the biggest musclehead guy in the world, but that ain't what it takes. You gotta have brains, you gotta think, you gotta know where the cameras are, you gotta play into millions at home.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a thinking man's game. Gordon Solie used to say it's a human game of chess, and that's true.
They put him with Sarge, Dwayne Bruce, who we've seen a couple of times in his role in the State Patrol as Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker.
Right, okay.
A bad wrestler. Not a bad wrestler, that's not fair. A guy who never rose up. He was short. He was slightly charismaless. And as you can tell from this, a sort of bad attitude bully. But he was running the PowerPoint at the time. And Louis says to him, do I have what it takes to be a wrestler? Again, just coming into that level, it's so disingenuous, so above it.
Yeah.
Sarge is very kind to him, and he sort of says, look, this game is not about necessarily who has the biggest muscles. It's about the whole package that you bring. And he quotes Gordon Solie saying it's a game of human chess and things like that. And he's never come across better than he does in this one little bit. But he watches the episode of Nitro, Louis Theroux, and he says, he's got that line, he goes, pretty quickly, it became clear it wasn't totally real.
Pretty quickly it became clear it wasn't totally real, at least not in the Olympic sense.
And in 1999, trying to break the news, and not even just sort of saying this is a predetermined sport, but sort of going, I think I've cottoned on. The worst thing about being a wrestling fan at any period of history is the people who aren't wrestling fans who believe that you think it's real.
It's real, yeah.
It's the single worst thing, having these babies saying to you, you do know it's not real. I fucking know. Of course I know. Do you know you're a fucking arsehole? Louis then says, so how much do people know before they go into the ring? And Sarge is just like, well, we've got to stop. I'm not really, I'm busy. I can't really do this. Everything.
One thing I still don't totally understand is to what extent they know what's going to happen in the ring when they come out into the ring. Do you know what I mean?
I don't have any idea. Listen, guys, I am real busy.
Oh, okay.
Look.
Yeah, shall we catch
you
up?
gotta get with Alan Sharp or somebody.
Yeah.
I've got to take care of my duty.
Okay, then. See you later.
Sarge seemed slightly miffed at my question.
I mean, in 1999, I think it would have been fine. But again, no one's quite sure of the levels that they're supposed to be doing.
No.
It. But I think you would sort of, had you asked the PR person would have said, this is the greatest show on earth. Everyone is just cheering the heroes and the villains. And, who knows what will happen next.
Yeah.
But Sarge is just like, I've got the fucking hump.
I never understand why wrestlers get upset at that, because they must get asked that in every pub every day of their lives, because that's what people fucking
Traditionally,
say.
if someone said it's all a fix, what you had to do is prove it wasn't by battering.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
And I think it's actually a line here that Louis Theroux does not cross. Later on, Sarge will say you disrespected us as athletes. He didn't. He was saying how much of it is sort of sorted out on the fly, if you like, and how much isn't. But I think there's that sense of they don't like it when people say it's fake, because it's not fake on your body. I mean, they know what you mean. Anyway, the Sarge takes that very, very badly. He will later accuse Louis Theroux of showing disrespect to athletes, but if it wasn't for that misunderstanding stroke classic bit of what old wrestlers do, this show would have nothing in it.
Absolutely nothing.
I can't say. I want to say I've always been fascinated by wrestling. I can't. I haven't. I did watch a bit of wrestling in the 70s, but I was, sometimes like the ideas that you think that you reach for at the end of it was the end of the second season of Weird Weekends, and you think, well, we haven't got any other ideas. This is the only thing in the hopper. We've got to do wrestling, and then it turns out to be amazing.